Hello, everybody. All right, I'm just going to give it a minute here while people are clicking on the link. Sorry about that. I had a little difficulty with the internet, but we're ready to go now. All right, we'll give it a minute here while folks are clicking on the link and coming in. See, we've got one viewer so far. Here comes another. All right, people are starting to click the link now. We'll just give it a minute here and we'll get ready to go. All right, looks like we're ready to go now. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Turnbull. I'm a personalized learning specialist for St. Paul Public Schools, which is an urban school district in the state of Minnesota. And today, thank you guys for joining me at this EdCamp Global. We're going to talk a little bit about creating eBooks and iBooks for your students. All right, and you may be creating those books for use in terms of modifying your curriculum. Maybe you have a textbook that's out of date and you want to modify the curriculum and include more up-to-date information. So you can certainly create an iBook to do that. Or you might want to use an iBook for the students to publish their work out to the internet so that they have a more authentic global audience. And you can use an iBook to do that as well. And you may even want to use an iBook in the case of modifying your text to make it more accessible for your students. So you can do that with an iBook as well. All right, and I'm just going to take a look and see if there are any questions yet in the chat. So if you want to go ahead and maybe add your Twitter handle in the chat there, or just your first name maybe if you don't have a Twitter handle. And you can go ahead and maybe tell me where you're from, what state. Or maybe if you can't hear me, you can indicate that there. Looks like I have good volume coming through. But if you're not hearing me, then go ahead and let me know that. All right, well, let's take a look at some ways to create those iBooks then. And for today, I certainly want this to be an EdCamp type experience. So I'm counting on you guys to chime in with questions and resources and opinions as well. And again, if you want to go ahead, and I see more people coming in, if you want to put your Twitter handle over in the chat in the Q&A area, or if you don't have a Twitter handle, you can just drop your first name in there. And if you can't hear me, or if you can't see the slides when I get to them, I haven't gotten there yet, go ahead and let me know over there. And if you have any resources at any point that you want to call out, then certainly go ahead and type that in there as well, so that we can share information here. All right, I'm gonna share my desktop with y'all for a moment here, and I'm going to show you where some resources are located at online. All right, there you go. And again, let me know if you can't see the screen for any reason. So here on our screen, again, we're going to talk about iBook and eBook creation for those of you just joining us, and how you can use that to really personalize the curriculum or the text that you're giving to your students, whether they need to have curriculum that's adjusted in terms of reading level or interests, or if you're just trying to make it more relevant or more up to date. You can do all of those things. And it's also a great way to personalize the publication of student learning, whether it's writing or projects or whatever it is. iBooks are an easy way to really publish your work of your students out to the internet so that they have an authentic global audience to share that with. All right, and I'm not seeing any questions yet over in the Q&A, so I'll keep looking there. And if you guys have any, go ahead and add them. Or you can add them as we come down here. At the bottom of the slide, you see a bit.ly address, bit.ly/capitalized ECG2015 iBooks. And that is case sensitive. It's a small I, capital B, capital E, C, and G. All right, if you go to that website, what you're going to find there if you go to that website, bit.ly/capital ECG2015, lowercase I, capital BOOKS, then that is going to take you off to a blog. All right, thanks. Thanks for putting in there that you can hear me. That's good to know. Get some feedback over there. I'm always wondering when I don't see any questions yet if people can see the screen and can hear it. So that's really good. Thank you. And if you go to that website address, then what you'll find there is a blog, and that blog has a shared Google Doc on it that you can all contribute questions and answers to as well. All right. All right, so here we go. On this blog page, Play, Learn, Teach, for today, there's an entry for EdCamp Global, iBook and eBook creation right there. And in this blog resource, it's really being kind of finicky here for some reason for me. All right, in this blog resource, what you'll find if you're able to scroll down in that is I have organized a lot of resources for you around Book Creator, the app for the iPad, and also iBooks Author, which runs on Mac computers. So if we have some PC or Android folks with us as well, then I'm hoping that you'll chime in on the shared doc and also in the chat area there. So if you scroll down under the Google Hangouts video on that blog page, there's a link under shared resources right there for shared doc, and on that you'll be able to, just in a Google Doc, add any resources that you know of or that you want to share as well. All right, so you can put those there, or you can put them in the chat in the Q&A section if you're in the Hangout with me. If you're not in the Hangout and you're just watching through Google, then please do feel free to contribute in that Google Doc over there. All right. So on the blog, then there are a lot of information there about, first of all, gathering your resources or your students gathering them in terms of finding Creative Commons licensed images so that you can abide by copyright. And then in terms of video and audio for Book Creator, those are features that are built right into the app, and we'll go through those, where you can add in photos and video right from your photos or your camera roll right on the iPad. And for the audio, you can also, there's a built-in app to add recorded narration, or you can also import audio from your iTunes library. All right, and then in terms of distribution, super easy. Book Creator is just a great app that it's easy enough for the youngest students to be able to make a book, and it's also elegant enough that you can make some really complex, beautiful books with great layouts and lots of interactive elements included. And they're very easy to distribute as well. You can put them in Dropbox, on a website, in Google Drive and share out the link. You can also upload them to iTunes, right to the iTunes bookstore, so that people can download them from there as well as you want. All right. Oh, the bit.ly again. Let me get back to that for you. Down at the bottom of this blog, then, I'll come right back to the bit.ly. There's also some sample books from Matthew Cathy. If you follow her on Twitter, I believe she teaches 7th or 8th grade junior high math. And so she's had her students create quite a few. And if you just tap on the image, it will bring up dots that you can click on to link off to those books. And then iBooks authors are our second thing that we'll look at. And so we'll come back to that here in the blog in a moment. All right. So I'll stop the screen share here from the blog, and the bit.ly link, again, someone is asking for. And so I will pop back over to the slides. And that's just bit.ly / and it is case sensitive, so capital ECG2015 iBooks, and the B is capitalized in iBooks. All right. There you go, so no problem. All right. So let me hop back over here then, and let's start by looking at Book Creator. And again, I'm kind of keeping an eye on the Q&A over there for comments, as well as watching the shared doc, where I see some people are on that as well. So feel free to add your comments in there as well. All right. So I'm going to bring up my iPad on my screen. I'm going to do that through Reflector, which is a mirroring app. And what Reflector does is it allows me to see my iPad screen as part of my computer screen right on my computer, so that I could project it through an LCD, or in this case, so that it will show up on my screen, and then I'll be able to select it. I'm hoping that Google Hangouts isn't going to interfere with this. There we go. Right, and then I'm just going to screen share that. And here comes my iPad. So there we go. All right, and I'm going to start up the Book Creator app right here. And we can go in and create a new book. And we have different choices for books. This is Book Creator for iPad is the name of this app. And we can have a portrait. So with the iPad turned so that it's taller than wide. We could have a square style book, or we could have a landscape book. And I'm going to go with landscape just because that seems to be the most common style book that I see being made in schools with the teachers and the students that I work with. All right, so here we are in Book Creator, and this is our cover. So I can come up to the plus sign at the top here, and I can tap on Add Text, and I can add some text in here, and I'll just say Book Creator example. And then I'll tap on Done, and it adds that text. I can move that text all over on my page. I can also, while that text is selected with the handles around it, I can come over to the eye at the top right and to select the inspector. And here I can make that larger with this slider. So depending maybe on my grade level or my topic, and I can also grab the blue handles and make that wider as well. I could also come in and I could tap on the eye again, and I could change my font to some other color if I wanted to. And I could change it to a different font style. You can see there are a lot of different font styles available. And there are even some more things being added, I believe. I'm not sure if they've been updated here yet or not. I don't think so. I don't see some of the new ones. So more fonts on the way. All right, for students. Okay. We can also bold or italic or underline any of the text as well. So there's some things we can change here, but not so much that we could spend forever here, like maybe students do on the computer when they're playing with the wingdings and all the different fonts and going through those. Okay. All right. I can tap off of that then. Let's move on over to the next page. And in my second page here, there we go. It's a little bit of a lag. Maybe again, I'm going to add some text, and I might just say, how is EdCamp going for everyone? All right. There we go. Now I probably also want a picture here, so I can tap on the plus sign again. And I should say too that when you change the font at the beginning, that applies to the entire book. So you see this font is purple and that same font style. So you kind of want to decide at the beginning what you want your font style and color and format to be, because that will affect all the pages that come after that. All right, and if I change my font style at this page, then it would affect after here. All right, but let's add a photo. So I'm going to click on, I could take a photo live with my camera, but I'm just going to go to my photo gallery. And I believe the first time that you do this, it probably asks for access to your photos. All right, but I'm going to go into my photo gallery, and maybe I think that EdCamp Global is going really well. So I'm going to grab that picture. I'm just going to bring it right in here, and I can resize it just by dragging these handles in the corners in and out to make it the exact size that I want it to be. All right, I can also up here on the plus sign, I can add some sound. And here's the built-in audio recorder that I was talking about, the narration. So I can tap on that narration and I can say, hi everybody, this is Chris, and I think that EdCamp is going really well. All the sessions that I have been in have been just great, and I think it's so wonderful to be able to go to professional development from home, right? And not have to drive or fly anywhere, stay in a hotel, to be able to get some great professional development being led by teachers and leaders themselves. Okay, then I can just tap on stop there. And yes, I want to use this recording, so I'll go ahead and do that. And I can pull that in here. I can make this larger if I wanted to, or smaller. And then so I can play that even while I'm still working on the book. I can tap on it and play it and preview it and see how it's going. Okay, and then I can just leave that button wherever I want the button to be. I can also actually make this button invisible. So I might have some text that says, click here. And I can move that text over to here. I can tap back on my button. And I can tap the inspector again. And I can make this sound button invisible in iBooks. So if I turn that on, I can see it's kind of faded out. So even though I can see it while I'm working on it, once it's finished, I won't be able to see it. So I can take that sound button. I also need to make sure that it is above the text since I typed that text afterward. So I'm going to come in here and move it to the front. There we go. And now when I drag that sound button on top of that, click here. In the finished book, I'll just see the text and it will say click here. Someone can click right on that and it will actually play the sound. So that's pretty cool. Lots of neat little tricks like that that you can do in Book Creator. All right, if I add another page, some other features, if I tap the plus sign, I can come in here and I can tap on the pen and I can actually draw. So that's pretty cool. If I was teaching a math class and I wanted students to work out a problem, they could actually do that on the page, or they could write a sentence in their own handwriting. They could practice writing their name. They could practice writing the letters of their name. I've also got an eraser there, and I can change the color of the text by tapping on the little ink well and choosing a different color. All right. So that's basically how simple it is to create books in Book Creator, right? You can quickly add pages, you can add pictures from all the different sources, you can add titles and text and format it and go back to the title. I can even go back out to my library. There's my book right there. And I can, if I tap down here on the share icon at the bottom, I can export this book out. I could save it as an EPUB so that it could be read in iBooks on an iPad and have interactivity so that people could tap on that sound icon and play it, or tap on a video if I had embedded a video. I could also export this out as a PDF. So if I had someone who didn't have an EPUB type reader available to them on whatever sort of device they had, they'd be able to read it as a PDF. Or I could even export this out as a video and someone could watch this book in YouTube and go through the video in that way. So very easy to use Book Creator. You can see the support link is right up there in the top right corner. Very easy to get great support on Book Creator. All right, so I'm going to end my screen sharing. Then tap out of that. And all right, let me see if there are any comments or questions. Oh, thank you so much, somebody, for adding, Eureka, for adding that link into the chat there. That's great, thanks. All right, I don't see any more questions yet or comments on the shared doc. So that's Book Creator. It's a really great app. And again, like I said, it's just wonderful because the youngest of students are able to use it to quickly create a book, and teachers, staff, adults, even older students, and younger students, after they get used to it, can really do a lot of formatting and create some really elegant layouts in Book Creator and make the book look quite professional. So it's a really great app. Does anybody else have any questions about Book Creator or anything you want to share about Book Creator or another iPad app that runs on the iPad? And again, I should mention with Book Creator, you can create the book as you saw me do right there on the iPad. And if you have a PC computer, there is also a version for the PC computer. So, but otherwise, you can just create everything right on the iPad, produce the whole book, edit it, and export it out. Okay. All right. I'm just going to copy that link again. So that bit.ly link is bit.ly/E, G, 2015, I, BOOKS. And it is case sensitive. So E, C, and G capitalized, and the B gets capitalized. bit.ly/ECG2015 iBooks. All right. Okay. I'm hoping that you guys will also chime in over there in the chat and the Q&A. If you have any iPad apps to share, or if you have any questions or comments. Otherwise, like I said on the blog, there is a thing link. If you tap on the image and wait just a couple seconds, it will populate with a lot of little dots, and you can tap on those dots then to preview a little information about some student iBooks that were created by at Matthew Cathy. If you're following her on Twitter, she's an 8th grade or 7th grade math teacher, and she has created that thing link to share her students' iBooks that they created with Book Creator on math concepts. So please explore some of those on there so that you can see some student examples too. All right. I'm gonna show you a little preview of iBooks Author then, and again, I'm keeping an eye on the Q&A. I haven't seen any new questions. Oh, here we go. If we export Book Creator as video, do the pages play automatically? Yes, they do. And all right, can students work on separate pages on their own devices, on their own iPads, and then combine them into one book? Yes, yes, they can. So where that share icon was at the bottom, you could just share the Book Creator file instead of sharing it off as a PDF. And in that case, then those could all be combined together by a student or by a teacher, whoever's going to do the combining, and they could all be put together into one file. Those are great questions. All right. Okay, I thought I saw a question popping up in the Google Doc, but it looks like it's gone. So maybe I just answered it for you. All right. Okay, I'll continue to keep an eye there. So keep adding questions. This is great. Or if you use Book Creator, share some ideas as well. Again, we want to make this EdCamp style, so I want to share your thoughts as well, whether you're sharing them over in the shared doc or if you're sharing them in the Q&A. We'll make sure everybody can hear those. Okay, let's take a look then at iBooks Author. So I'm going to go back to screen sharing. There we go. Should be coming up quickly. There we are. All right, so iBooks Author is software that runs on a Mac computer, not on the iPad. So it runs on the Mac computer, and you create the books on the Mac, and then you export them out into a file, an iBooks file, that can then be shared out in all the ways I listed on the blog, through a website, through Dropbox, through your learning management system. You could upload it to the iTunes bookstore. You could email someone the file. Oh, a question popping up. Any recommendations for great K3 book samples? Actually, in iTunes, in the bookstore, there are a lot of free books, and there are several that are K3, kind of lower elementary. And so I would search in, if you go to iTunes, if you open up your iTunes on your Mac or your PC, then you can go to the iBook store and you could search for, in the free books even, search in the free books under education, and you'll see a lot of examples of early elementary books. All right. And also in the blog, in the Book Creator section, there's a link to Book Creator, the actual company that created the Book Creator app, to their Pinterest board. And on the Pinterest board, they have several samples of books available too on that you can check out. Okay, so back over to iBooks Author then. It's a really quick and simple. I'm going to just probably, I might need to actually pop out of this one and go back to screen share and pick the template again. I'm not sure, because otherwise I think it's going to stick on the one that I had open. All right. Here we go. So if I was starting from scratch, it's template driven. So I simply get all of these templates, just like Keynote and PowerPoint, where basically everything is set up for you. Drop the picture on top of the picture, drop the text on top of the text, or type over the text and replace the kind of the fake text that's there with your own text. All right. So I'm just going to go with this space. Again, landscape. That's usually the style that most of the teachers and students, I work at the district level, that's the style that most of the teachers and students choose. It's the landscape style. So it's a little wider on your screen, and the text is usually, you can make the text a little larger that way as well. So I just get this little template here, and I can change my book title up here by going to the book pane over here on the left side. And I'll select book title up here at the top. And then I'll just come in here, and this is already set up. You can see it has a blue hyperlink around it. So that's going to take care of the table of contents. I just want to make sure that I don't delete that. So, okay, can we see it now? Can you see the iBooks author templates over here where I'm changing it to iBooks EdCamp example? I'll just make that smaller so that it still fits on the front cover. I'm not seeing that anybody can't see it, so I'm guessing you can. This lorem ipsum, the kind of like fake text, I'm just going to take that one out. And maybe down here at the bottom, I would put in, I don't know, maybe my own name on this. All right. And generally the cover is going to be, okay, great, you guys can see again. Generally the cover is going to be really small in your library, so you don't have to worry too much about the detail on your cover. You want to make your text large enough that it can be seen, and then you'll have a picture. And what I'm going to do with this picture is I'm actually going to open up a folder, and I'm going to drop in some files on this. So I'm just kind of moving things around here on you guys to get to my folder in the back. Here we go. I just like to position these folders off to the side so that I can see everything. All right. So now with this planet theme, maybe I would want some other picture there. I was recently in Philadelphia, so I might want a Philadelphia picture there instead of that picture that I have, and maybe I want like a really old map of Philadelphia. Right, I think the screen sharing is interfering with me being able to drop my picture here. Oh, silly me. I was dropping it on the wrong screen. I was dropping it off on the mirrored picture. I feel a little silly. All right, so I was recently in Philadelphia, so maybe I would want to use a Philadelphia example. There we go. A little tricky there with Google Hangouts. We can get too many windows open that look identical. All right, so there's my cover, and then I'm going to come down here to section 1. And again, the big part of really building an iBook with iBooks Author is gathering all of your materials in advance. And I can show you the folder here when we wrap up this part, so you can see everything that I've got gathered in advance. But maybe my chapter 1 title, again, I'm going to make sure I don't delete that hyperlink, might be just the city. All right, and then this fake text here, I'm going to open up a little intro text to replace that with. So just a short little snippet of text to drop here in this, and I'll just highlight it and replace it. There we go. And now I have this outer space theme, so that doesn't really fit with being in Philadelphia. So again, I was there for the ISTE conference. Maybe I want an ISTE themed Philadelphia type picture. And when I tap on that picture down here at the bottom, I'm not sure in the screen sharing if you can see this, it pops up a little edit mask button, so I can actually zoom in on that picture, and I could kind of take the ISTE text out and focus in on just maybe the cityscape. All right, question coming in: when choosing a template in iBooks author, there's two down at the bottom. That are EPUB. Okay, so if you knew, I guess if you're creating this to share in a way other than producing an iBook, you might want to use an EPUB so you could share it with someone maybe on a different type device. So you could share it with someone who's on an Android or a PC device, some sort of other tablet or other computer that has a reader app on it. And then that EPUB app would allow them to read that file. Well, compared to the iBooks formatted file, depending what device they're on, like on a Chromebook, they might not be able to read an iBooks formatted file, but they could read the EPUB one. Same thing with PCs. They wouldn't be able to read the exported iBooks file, but they could read the EPUB. They could still scroll through the pages. I wouldn't say there's more interactivity. They'd be able to scroll through the pages and tap on the words that are in the glossary and do those things. If there were 3D objects, I don't actually have an Android tablet. I've got an iPad, so I'm not sure if the 3D widget objects would work in the EPUB file. That'd be a good question to follow up on. Say you might have like I know there was a session on SketchUp earlier where a lot of people in the SketchUp warehouse have created models of all sorts of things that are three-dimensional. So let's say you're doing an iBook about the 1920s, and you want to include a 1920s Roadster. I believe there's one in the SketchUp warehouse. You could download that three-dimensional car, and then you could use the 3D widget up here at the top of my screen. I hope you can see that when it pops up. There's a widget that's built right into iBooks, and widgets are like little apps or tools that run within iBooks Author that allow you to add things to the pages that have more interactivity. So you can add a gallery where you could have photos. Maybe you want to have 10 photos of something, and instead of having a photo on every page and having 10 pages, you could stack all the photos in this gallery, and then people could just swipe through the photos and stay on the same page, so it could conserve pages. Media, you can add videos into your book. So if you're creating flipped learning videos, or you have a video of something that you took with your iPad or your phone or anything, you can upload that video as long as it's an M4V file, MP4 or M4V formatted. You can upload that. If you've got a .mov, you can convert that so that it is an MP4 or M4V formatted. You can add self-check reviews where they could take a little quiz and answer questions that check their own comprehension as they're moving through the text. You can add slideshows into your book. So a PowerPoint or a Keynote, I could embed right into the book. And again, instead of having 10 pages with each of those slides, the whole slideshow can stay on one page and they can work through it. Those 3D objects like the car, you could use this 3D widget, and then you can actually rotate in the book with your finger, just swiping over the object in that widget. You could rotate the car around and look at all sides of it. You could turn it over, so you could look at the bottom of the car, you could turn it over and look at the top of the car, you could look at the back of the car. So it allows you to rotate it in a three-dimensional space right in the book itself. Then there's a scrolling sidebar. So again, maybe you have a transcript that goes along with the video. You could have the video on the left side of the page, and you could put a scrolling sidebar widget into the right side of the page. And I'll show you an example here quickly of a book that has all of these things in it. Popover is a book where you tap on something and something pops up to give you more information. And then the HTML widget, you can do all sorts of really advanced things where you can plug in things in your book, like streaming YouTube videos, Google Maps, anything on the internet that has an embed code, pretty much you could stick into your book. Okay, let me show you quickly here how I can just add some text. So let me take this page out, this template, and I have in my folder over here just some information about Philadelphia. So I'm going to actually come up here and I'm going to add a section and section text right onto here. And you can see again it has that lorem ipsum, the kind of fake text. It's just a placeholder, that template system. And then I'm going to grab out of my folders on the side here just some information about Philadelphia. And I'm just going to drag and drop that. Let me move my window a little bit here with my folder, which I'm not even sure if you can see it or not. I'm going to drag that right on top of the template, and it's going to ask me where I want to put it, section text. And again, a little tricky with Google Hangouts. I'm not sure that it's showing any of the pop-up windows, but it just replaced the text that quick, just 3 seconds it took to replace that. I can also pop in some pictures. So maybe instead of the space header at the top, I have a picture of the Garden State Bridge there in between New Jersey and Philadelphia. I could come in here and I could change this heading so that it matches up with what I called the chapter, which was the city. So maybe the city of Philadelphia. All right, so as quick and simple as that, I could change this from white to whatever color might show up better on that background. Again, I could make my text in the same way. I could highlight it all. Depending on the age of the students I'm working with, I could bump up that text to make it more friendly. Visually, I could also drop in other things inside. So maybe I want a picture of Ben Franklin in this text as well. So there's Ben in the middle there of my text. And you can see here, this is a square photo with white borders around this round part. So I can select this photo and then I can come up here to the top to Instant Alpha, a really cool feature here of iBooks Author. And I can just drag that over these white parts until it's highlighted all that. I can click return to stop doing that. And you can see now the text bumps up right around Ben Franklin there. So very easy to take photos. Again, copyright friendly, Creative Commons licensed, and bring that right in here to the book and add a photo, just as simply as that. All right, let me pop back here and stop screen sharing on that one. I think you guys get how adding the text goes. And I want to screen share on the book that has a lot of examples in it. And now that I have, actually, all right, I closed that one up. Let me quickly reopen that for you, and I'll show you all those little examples. Okay, and let me screen share that. I don't see any other questions. Trying to keep an eye on the Q&A and the doc too, so keep those questions coming. All right, so I'm screen sharing and I'm going to pick, here's a book with all of those widgets already inserted. So there's just a map of Philadelphia. I've changed the text here. Here's where I dropped in again that Wikipedia text right there. I made it larger in the other book. And when you bump the text up, it automatically adds an extra page for you to accommodate that if it flows over. Here's a collage of photos that are embedded right there. And as I move this around, it just adjusts the text. So it makes it look great for me by doing all that formatting. Here's a keynote slideshow of the top 10 free attractions in Philadelphia. So as they'll tap on that in the actual exported book, that will move through the slides there. Here's a streaming YouTube video, which will, if they're connected to Wi-Fi, will stream the video and they'll actually be able to play that. live. All right, more text. Here's another chapter. Here's a little self-test. The reviews are all self-test. So I have marked the correct answer, but if I chose this one, you know, as the person when I am going through the book and check my answer, it will think that 2 is right. It's actually 3. And I have several questions here in a row. I can add more questions. I could have less than 4 answers if I wanted. Again, there's a pop-up, which I'm not sure it's going to show with iBooks Author, or excuse me, with the Google Hangouts streaming. But what I can do is I can add other question types than just multiple choice. I could add, instead of multiple choice words, I could have pictures. So they could choose the picture that is the correct answer. I could have where they're dragging something on the bottom to the correct label on the diagram to where it goes. And then they could check to see if that's the right answer or not. All right, so there's several different choices that they have available to them that they can go through. But again, they're answering those themselves. So I don't actually, as a teacher, get to see how they're doing with those. Here's the scrolling sidebar. So I have a long set of image credits and text credits here for all the images and the text from Wikipedia. So that just scrolls like that in the book. All right. And that's kind of how the basic things work. Some more interactivity that you could put in the book. You can use some third-party widgets, and on the blog there, the bit.ly/ECG2015 iBooks, if you're on that blog page. Remember, that's case sensitive. You can use some Bookry, bookry.com widgets, where it actually lets you plug things in without having to know the coding or the HTML to make those widgets work. So I'll actually show you this exported book here in a minute, but this links off to a thing link image on the internet, so it embeds that right into the book. Okay, it also embeds a Padlet wall. It's another simple one you can do. Again, anything that has an embed link, you can probably put it into iBooks Author. All right, this one was a little bit more interactive. A lot of these things they're doing, just the built-in widgets up here in iBooks Author are kind of for themselves to self-check. But I actually wanted, as a teacher, to get some feedback from them. So this Padlet wall, I can see this live on a Padlet wall, what they're typing in and adding to the Padlet wall. So I can easily assess whether or not they're comprehending what they're reading or if they're contributing. This one is a Google form where they can contribute information. And then, because I think a lot of times iBooks become these static things that teachers and educators and other people produce, and our students don't really have any input into them. So another thing you can do is you could also embed a Google form published out to the web so that when they fill out the form, their answers will show up in the next page. So in that way, they can share ideas. They can contribute to the text of the book themselves. Okay, so you saw how easy it was there to add photos and text. It's that same process. Adding more pages or sections you can do up here in the templates. All right, you can add shapes. You can also add shapes in Book Creator. I didn't show you that. Easy to add that, and text boxes to both of those. If you wanted to publish this out to iTunes, to the bookstore, you would use the publish link here. You can preview this book and see what it looks like by tapping on preview here and connecting your iPad with a USB cable, or if you have the iBooks app on your Mac computer, then you can preview it in that way as well. So I'm just going to tap on that. It's going to send this book to iBooks. It's going to be in portrait. Okay. Somehow we got switched to portrait there. All right, it's exporting that. It's pretty quick. This is only about a 10-page book. Also, before we exit from here, just to show you, a screen share off to the book. Including something in the glossary is really as easy as highlighting a word and coming up here and doing add term. There's the word that it's going to add, and then I go here to glossary. There's metropolitan. Again, I'm going to replace that lorem ipsum text And I could look this up in the dictionary, or I could simplify it, whatever fits best for my class. So I'll just say urban area characteristics. I could also add related terms. If I had an image, I could drag an image right into this area here. So let me see if I quickly have an image. I could add that right in there to the page, so that will show up when they tap on the word. So look at the word, the definition, and this little image. And I could resize this as well to make it fit. All right, let me stop screen sharing that and show you the book and the interactivity. And this is the same interactivity that you would see if you were if I was screen sharing off to the iPad, if I had exported this out to the iPad. All right, so I'm going to screen share. Here is my iBooks library. A again quickly. All right, don't see anything else. Okay. Again, just keep popping those in there if you have questions. So, all right. So here's our page. Here's the little book we just looked at. And really, again, the big part of this book is gathering the resources ahead of time, and I will show you that folder at the end. But actually putting it together, you saw it's just template driven, so it's all drag and drop. And I'm just going back to the thumbnails here to swipe back to the beginning, back to chapter 1. So there we are. So here's our first page of the book. You can slide through there. There's my collage. You see the header of the bridge between New Jersey and Philadelphia up there at the top. Here's my keynote slideshow, top 10 free attractions. I'm just tapping it just like I would to show a slideshow, and it's moving through. The slideshow just has pictures and the name of the place and the image citation. But it could be anything. I could insert the slideshow, those 3 short slides from the beginning of today. I could drop that in if I exported it from Google to PowerPoint and then changed it to Keynote. All right. So there's that. Here's the gallery. So again, maybe I have lots of photos of something, I don't know, a science experiment, and I have a photo for every stage. And I just want them to go through the photos as a reminder of what they saw when they were doing that. All right, so that's the gallery feature. All right, there's another chapter. There's Ben in the middle. Notice again how the text is all close now because I took the white background off with Instant Alpha. Here's a pop-up. So there's the Liberty Bell. I can tap on this little hand and just some extra text pops up. So this could be like a metacognitive question. It might be a question about whatever text is on this page. Just something to either give the students some more information, kind of in an engaging little way, to make it more fun, or to have them check their own comprehension as they're going through. All right, the more things that you can do in the book to engage them and have them be interactive, the better they're going to remember it. Here's a YouTube video. I don't know how well this will play since I'm already streaming in Google Hangout, but you can kind of get the idea maybe.
Hi, I'm Naomi, and I'm very excited to show you the world's greatest attractions. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is the home of an American icon of freedom and democracy. The Liberty Bell, first ranked.
And I'm just going to stop it right there. You can see really high quality image, not a lot of pixelation. Again, that might depend on your Wi-Fi connection, but certainly I've got the average connection here. High quality sound, and again, it's streaming right from YouTube, so I'm not violating anybody's copyright. And this YouTuber is getting another hit on their video on YouTube, so their status is going up, which is what most YouTubers want. All right, but really important for copyright that I'm not taking this person's video and downloading it and then re-embedding it in my book. And this is one of the widgets that I mentioned from the third-party vendor Bookery. And that link is right in the blog, bookery.com. There's another vendor as well, bookwidgets.com. And they make little widgets where all I needed to do for this was plug in the URL. So I looked this video up in YouTube and I copied the web address at the top of the page, and then it just magically made the widget for me, did the coding, I downloaded it, and I drug it onto this page, and it works. Simple as that. All right, here's the self-check, and then we'll kind of wrap up here. So again, this would be just for the reader to know if they checked on 2. Remember in the video it said 3. They checked the answer that's wrong. Again, they could keep going, as many answers as they want. Eventually it's going to show them the right answer. There's more questions underneath here. Here's where they could choose pictures instead. Constitution Hall. Yeah, I remember that one from being there. On the famous foods, Philly cheesesteak, right? Okay, so it gives me a little feedback that does not go to the teacher. All right, and I could even start over if I did really terribly on that. Here's my image credits. Again, that scrolls on the page. So if I have a long list, I'm using 1 page and not many pages for this. I could also, I've used this a lot with teachers, to have a video on like the left side of the page and a transcript on the right side, so that our multilingual learners can watch the transcript, and also just all students benefit from being able to see the text along with listening to the video. All right, and for professional development, you know, sometimes you miss what students are saying in the video, so having the transcript is great. Those extra widgets that I talked about from bookre.com, and book widgets is another source. So when I tap on this, again, anything that has an embed code, pretty much, you can embed into an iBooks author. So here's a thing link. There's the little dots popping up. If I tapped on these, it's going to take me off to the web page that I linked up for these. All right. And again, I don't know, maybe you didn't see that with Google Hangouts because it was actually a pop-up from the page. All right, Padlet wall, same thing. I'm hoping you can see this. So here they could actually tap on the plus sign. It's going to take them to the internet in Padlet. They're going to be able to add a link. So if I had a question about the reading that they're supposed to have done, they could actually add that in on the wall, and I'll be able to see it live on that link at the end. Okay. And that was a pop-up, so I don't even know if you could see which one that someone added into there. Okay, and then the last one that I talked about that I think is critical, because I really want to get some feedback from them as a teacher, right? Here's the Google form that's embedded. So there's the question, here's the open-ended text box, here's a short text box, a resource that they found from a presentation, conversation, or exploration, an internet link to share, and a topic that they might present on next year. This was for participants in a workshop. Okay, and then again with the idea that they're contributing to the book and you want to see the answers from other students or other staff, the next page takes them off to a shared spreadsheet so they could see every answer that's fed in through that Google form. Okay, and again, I don't know if those were visible to you through Google Hangouts, since they are pop-ups. All right, so that is the book. That's what it looks like. Again, very simple, very easy to create, very quick to create if you have all your resources organized in advance. Okay, and let me just pop back over here to the Google Hangouts. And just a folder that I mentioned of resources, this is where the real-time consumption is. And of course, just like when we have students creating a PowerPoint, we want them to do the writing first, right? Because it could take forever going through and choosing the fonts and the transitions. So here in the folder, I have it all organized, and I just like to have this folder maybe on the right side or the left side of my iBooks author template window. And so I can just drag the cover photo right onto the cover. You can also have an intro video that plays when you first open the book. So that's kind of nice. Here's my map image that I put in that first section of the chapter. And then here's the text. I just opened this as a Pages document, copy the text, paste it. And then you saw me just even drag this text, this Pages document right on top of the template and let it go. And it automatically imported that text. So that's what I did, is I just filled each of these folders with the resources that I was going to need in order to do that section of the book. And it makes it so much simpler than when you're doing your book and you're finishing it. All right. Did you lose audio? Have we lost audio? There might not have been any audio at one point there. So I don't know if you can still hear me now. We may have actually lost audio. And you know, when playing that YouTube video, I kind of wonder about that through Google Hangouts, if that played for you. That might have been where you were losing the audio. All right, I don't see any other questions in the Q&A. Again, if you go back to the blog post, bit.ly/E, C, 2015, lowercase I, capital B, OOKS. On that blog post are tons of resources from today. And again, if you have some resources, feel free to add them in the comment section at the end of that blog post. I'd love to have some resources from the other people who are in the session as well. And if you wanted to add some information to the shared document, I will take that and incorporate it too into the blog post under the shared section. All right, so wherever you would like to plug in some information would be great. But you can see there's 2 resources for you already to get started with creating books, iBooks and eBooks for mobile devices, whether it's an iPad or if you want to export it out as an EPUB or a PDF, which can also be read on a PC or an Android device as well. But both of those, Book Creator, very quick and simple, but easy to create very elegant, sophisticated books with it, and an iBooks author as well. Very easy with the templates to create your books and then to export those out into a file that is shareable with people with other devices, or if you're in the Apple ecosystem, very easy to share that iBooks file through Dropbox, a web page, Google Drive, your learning management system, or even through the iTunes bookstore. And again, if you look in iTunes, if you start up the iTunes app on your iPad or your Mac computer or on whatever sort of device you have, even on PC, you can go to iTunes. And then if you search in the iBook store, search under free books and under education, and just take a look at some of the books that people have shared in there, and you can get some ideas of how to do some pretty cool layouts and add some interactivity. There's some very sophisticated examples in the iBook store of the layout that people put together in their books and the interactivity that they've included with video and audio and hyperlinks and choose your own adventure type books even in Book Creator. All right, so thank you guys for joining me today in this Google Hangout as part of EdCamp Global. I hope you're taking away an idea or two that you can try out in the next couple weeks or the next month, however much time you have left before school starts. And thank you. I'm going to keep an eye just a minute here on the Q&A. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask them. I can stay and answer them, or if you want to put them in the Google Doc too. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I definitely recommend trying out these apps. First and second graders can do them. Book Creator, great app for first and second graders to try out, and they can do it. So some great books that can be produced. All right, and again, take a look on the link in the blog post on the Play, Learn, Teach blog in the section under Book Creator under example books, where I linked up the Book Creator company's Pinterest page. Lots of different examples of different grade levels, different subjects of Book Creator iBooks there. All right, so definitely take a look at those. A great app on your iPad for first and second graders to use, and really all grade levels. I love using Book Creator too. All right. Any other questions for anybody? And again, if you lost the audio from the video is in that sample book on the blog post, so you can watch it from there. It's just a YouTube video about Philadelphia, but the main point was seeing how crisp and clear it was and being able to hear it, which may have been lost due to me not going back and stopping the screen share and picking another pop-up window. So, but if you do download that sample book, you'll be able to go through and see just how well that video plays. The one thing to mention about that, if you're designing your books and you know that your students don't have Wi-Fi at home, then you'll definitely want to focus on videos that you're actually creating, because a YouTube video wouldn't play for them because that would need to be streamed. So you could put in with the widget in iBooks, in the actual iBooks template that I showed you up there at the top, the widget for media. You can upload videos you've created on your computer or that you've created on your iPad and you've exported off to your Mac computer through an iTunes sync, or you've airdropped it or emailed it to yourself, however you want to get it onto your Mac computer. But you could take that video, and it needs to be an M4V file or MPEG-4, MP4, however you want to refer to that format in order to work in iBooks Author. Okay, but you could put your own videos into the book. The other thing you can do, if you find a YouTube video that you really like, what I've done is email the author, the person who uploaded the video, and ask them for permission to be able to use that video in your book. So ask them for permission to just explain you're a teacher, what school you're at, what grade level you are, send the email from your, from your professional school email, and tell them the grade level you're teaching and what you want to use it for, and ask for permission to be able to download that and use it in your book. And that has been pretty successful for me to be able to reach out to folks and contact them. And that way, when it's for school use. Okay, so just keep that in mind if you have no Wi-Fi. Oh, great. Okay, the audio was your computer. Okay. I was wondering if it was the pop-ups, because with those multiple pop-ups, I wasn't sure if Google Hangouts was keeping up with all the windows that were popping up or not. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Again, thank you guys so much for participating and for your comments in the Q&A chat bar over there and on the shared Google Doc. And feel free to bookmark that blog post. I'll make sure that the answers to your questions get migrated on over to the blog post there or into the shared doc. Either one of those, it'll be linked up still. And that way, if you want to come back and see that answer again, you can. And the video too is going to be linked off the page there or from my YouTube channel, but maybe easier for you to get to from the blog since you've already been there today. So thank you guys. Unless I see another question pop up somewhere or another comment, then I will give it another minute here, but then I'll probably close this out. I know you guys probably want to go on to another session because EdCamp Global's been great. All right, thank you guys so much. Also, feel free to email me, or you can, post a comment on that blog if you have a question or comment, or Twitter. You can always tweet me on Twitter if you have a question about anything about Book Creator or iBooks Author that you have a question after today or want to make a comment. All right, thanks you guys. Have a great day.